Hi, this is Sherry Veronica, and with me in studio is a daughter who is very concerned about the well-being and the welfare of her mother who is residing in Barbados. Let me welcome her into the studio. Welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You are anonymous.
Yes, I am anonymous, and I am very concerned about the elderly in Barbados, especially in a particular nursing home in St. Michael, Belleville, St. Michael. There are many, but I won't name this one. My mother is 70 years old and was taken from her home in June of this year by a young lady who convinced her that she is her next of kin. My mother has a dementia diagnosis, which was withheld from us by this young lady who claims she's her next of kin. And with this dementia diagnosis and other diagnoses, this young lady and the attorney whom she went to, I have no idea if they performed a cognitive test before they got her to sign this power of attorney over, but they got her to sign a power of attorney that allows them to execute on behalf of my mother. Now, while there's a considerable amount of money involved that none of her children knew of, because my mother has more than one child, what this young lady did is more or less, for lack of a better term, and I will repeat, for lack of a better term, kidnap my mother. She did not let either one of the children know that she was the executor trustee of my mother's will or that she had a power of attorney. She did convince one of the children to leave the house and that she was going to help her after my mother was released from the hospital, showed up with the owner and director of said nursing home, and had an ambulance in tow and removed my mother from her home, claiming she had high blood pressure and that they were going to more or less take her, at least the assumption was they were going to take her to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. But instead of taking her to a hospital with this quote-unquote hypertension, extremely high blood pressure, they placed her in this nursing home in Belleville. And what happened after that is just utter chaos. We literally had to take her to court even to find out that she had a power of attorney. The proprietor of this nursing home and this young lady have denied us access to my mother. They have taken over all of her assets. I happened to speak to my mother a week ago on the phone, and which honestly was by a stroke of luck, because I have not been able to speak to my mother since I saw her in June that one time. And the day that I spoke to her, she asked me to bring her grandchild and her great-grandchild to see her. She said she wanted to see them before she died. And I told her she has to let them know that she wants to see her grandchildren, for lack of a better word, my granddaughter and her granddaughter. And when I called on Friday, they wouldn't let me talk to her. Then they claimed that she had a stroke, but they wouldn't produce any evidence of said stroke. But then when I had someone else, because they told the police officers that I had called that she had a stroke, and I had called the wrong district. So when I called the correct district, they told those people that she didn't have a stroke. So at the moment, I don't even know the correct mental status or physical status of my mother, because they're not telling the authorities the truth. They've presented no documentation that my mother had a stroke. And if she did have a stroke, she's still in the nursing home and, to the best of my knowledge, has gotten no medical care. The other thing I'm concerned about is that my mother had told me that she needed me to come to Barbados because she had cervical cancer and she needed me to accompany her in the surgery. When I asked about the cancer, nobody has an answer. That's because she hasn't been to a doctor. Now, I don't know if she was telling me the truth, because I just found out a week ago that she has a dementia diagnosis. So I don't know if the cancer exists or if it doesn't. But I can't get a hold of her medical records because the executrix and trustee and the person who has power of attorney and her beloved husband are holding all of these things from her daughters. So My mother's next of kin, biological next of kin, can't know if she had a stroke, if she has cervical cancer, if she's okay in this nursing home. If she's not okay, if she needs anything, we can't see her. Everybody's turned away. So they're basically, as far as I'm concerned, and I don't live in Barbados, so I don't know what Barbados considers elderly abuse, but keeping a person with dementia away from all family is a form of abuse. They need family and familiarity. They need a community. They need to be able to speak to people and have dialogue with people. Yes, they are losing their cognition, but you want to prevent them from sinking into depression and becoming more and more withdrawn. And the way this nursing home is operating and this young lady is operating is not in the best interest of my mother. What they are doing is isolating her so she doesn't speak to me or have anything to do with my sister or my daughter or my granddaughter. And even when my grandmother calls, which is her 88-year-old mother, they never call back. They never return anything, all for the love of money. You see, in this whole process, we found out that my mother has some assets. And while neither one of her children care about the assets, we really would like to just make sure that our mother is doing okay. These people plan to keep her in complete isolation so that we can't know anything. I just don't understand how Barbados functions when elderly people are subjected to this kind of emotional torture. You know, I've spoken to other individuals who have worked in not that nursing facility, but other nursing facilities, and I've heard some horrendous stories. And I just don't understand. I don't understand who's regulating these nursing homes, how they're being regulated. They say that they make impromptu investigatory appearances to find out if everything is up to par. But this is also Barbados, and, you know, I'm going to tell you I'm going to show up on Monday, or I'm going to show up sometime this week to take a look at your nursing home so it's easier for me and you get everything, you know, intact by the time I get there. The police, they've decided that they don't have anything to do with this because no crime has been committed because the young lady has a power of attorney. But yet still, as far as I've seen from outside research, there are statutes on the book that prevent elderly abuse, but they don't seem to be enforced. I'm baffled. I'm at my wit's end, and I'm quite sick of hearing, oh, you need to return an attorney in order to get everything done. What happened to the government? We have a prime minister that is known throughout the entire world for her eloquent speeches and fighting for peace in the Caribbean, but there's so much turmoil in this country. If you're not protecting the least vulnerable, who are you exactly protecting? Whom? Because the most vulnerable people in your society at this point are the elderly and children. And for elderly people to be with mental disorders or mental health disorders or comorbidities that make them lose their faculties for a period of time, if those are the people who are being ripped off, placed in nursing homes, their stuff is being taken out of their houses before the family get there, the family doesn't have to be notified that you did. Like, how does this happen? How does this happen? Who's doing the monitoring of all of these things? And why should I always have to show up with an attorney to get anything investigated? A crime is currently being committed. Isolation of a person from her family and friends is elderly abuse. Maybe not in the book in Barbados. Maybe this is how Barbados society is at this point. I just don't know. I don't know where to turn. I don't know who to speak to. Everybody tells me they don't respond to emails. They don't respond to calls. They don't respond to this. I need to be in Barbados in person in order to get anything done. Why? You have cryptocurrency. You have a digital passport. You have all of these other things, a digital ID card that's supposed to put Barbados in the 21st century. And yet still, I have this archaic system when it comes to dealing with this kind of elderly abuse and this kind of elderly manipulation. For what? I don't understand. I don't know who to talk to because I've literally emailed everybody. Everybody. Suspected elder exploitation and undue influence. That's what all of my emails are titled. And I've listed every statute I could find on the books in Barbados to get some kind of help, to no avail. So my choices are to leave my mother in the care of people who will probably slowly kill her and say it's natural causes, because I do not have any assistance in order of rectifying this situation. And it doesn't matter how many people I speak to. It doesn't matter how many people I bring this to the attention of or email or call. They all have the same attitude. Well, you're going to have to come down here and handle that with a lawyer. In the meantime, my mother is being isolated from the people who are even down there. Can I ask my 88-year-old grandmother to go to court to fight for her daughter? No, I can't. She's 88. Can I put my sister through more mental torture of having to deal with this after this kind of betrayal by a family member we trusted? No, I'm not going to do that. We are all barely hanging on to our reality because we cannot believe this level of betrayal. A person that will call you and talk to you and tell you that she's okay. A person that supposedly checked up on her all the time to make sure she was fine. The entire time you're manipulating her. You're telling to her horrible things about her kids, trying to poison her mind against her children and her grandchildren, and now isolating her so you could control her pension, her gratuity, her assets, her debentures, everything. Because you believe that you deserve them more than her children. And far above and beyond any of that, those are the things that we do not care about. But you have to hold on to this person in this deteriorating mental state so that you can profit at the end. You've convinced her that you are her child and she raised you from a baby. And you were never her child and you were never raised with us from a baby. You lived with your mother and father in a house that did not even by rights belong to you, belonged to another family member who granted it to your brother, and then your brother lost it to attorneys. But that was okay because you had already done this to both of your grandmothers and you tried to do it to a great uncle. So you had a place for your brother to go, which is where he now resides. And the great uncle's kids just paid you what you were owed for being the executor of his will and dispersed of you as well. This is how you and your family plan to make your money. And anybody who challenges you, you just drag them to court and ask them to pay costs of you getting an attorney, both you and your co-conspirator. Horrendous behavior for somebody who is politically affiliated and using her political affiliations possibly to carry out this level of fraud. But once again, Sherry, I am concerned about the health and well-being of my mother in this nursing home who claims that she had a stroke without showing any proof that she had a stroke. A mother who told me she has cervical cancer, which I can't get her records to prove whether she had it or not. I'm concerned about the well-being of my mother, whom despite whatever issues we may have, is still the only living parent that I have. Therefore, it is my job to take care of her until she expires. It is my job to make sure that she is okay until she expires. That's what children are supposed to do for their parents, good, bad, or indifferent.
Okay. Well, I'm sure everyone listening to what you have just said, it will touch them in their hearts. It was very, very eloquently stated. And I'm going to put this on YouTube and hopefully we'll hear back in the comment section. Just any kind of advice you can give to her, please place it in the comment section on YouTube and we'll take it from there. Is that okay?
That is okay.
All right. This is Sherry Veronica, Naked Departure Radio.
Help me spread the word about Naked Departure via social media. Subscribe and share to show support and love for our channels.